All right, so Childless Cat Lady here, and I'm sure by now most of you, if not all of you, have heard that this has resurfaced. This initially was said by J.D. Vance 3 years ago, calling Kamala Harris, AOC, and Pete Buttigieg a childless cat lady. Now, first off, I have only, prior to him, I have only ever heard that being used for women who were unmarried. Because the point of it wasn't just that a woman wasn't breeding, because they would have a problem with single mothers. No, the problem is that there are women out there who choose not to breed at all. And that is how I've always heard the phrase used. Until J.D. Vance. Now, obviously, AOC fits the bill in the fact that she is a single woman who is childless. I don't know when she's supposed to be getting married. I know she's engaged now, but this was from 3 years ago. Kamala Harris is married. She was married 3 years ago. So, doesn't fit the bill. Pete Buttigieg, not only was he unmarried, he's not a lady. So, to call Kamala Harris and Pete Buttigieg childless cat ladies tells me either he doesn't understand what the phrase means, or it's even worse than him just attacking women who don't have children. Because obviously people took it as attacking Kamala Harris for not having popped out kids. She has stepchildren, which you would think would not make her a childless cat lady, because she obviously loves her children. Just because they're stepchildren doesn't mean she doesn't care about them. And actually, Doug Emhoff is in a situation that's unusual, in the sense that people dwell on once you get divorced, you hate each other. And Doug Emhoff and his ex-wife seem to get along just fine. And not only that, Kamala and his ex-wife get along very well. So, this could be read two ways. Number one, he doesn't know what the phrase means, and he just accidentally got it right with AOC. Just by using the term, not that there's anything wrong with AOC having been single at the time, because until people get married, they're single. They're single from the minute they're born to the minute they choose to get married. Granted, not everybody chooses to get married, but that's just the way it is. As Pete pointed out, he was in the Navy. He fought in Afghanistan. So to say that he doesn't care about the future of the country is just insane. Because if you didn't care, you wouldn't sign up for military service. But anyway, this video is about breaking apart the terms and showing just how much we can learn about J.D. Vance's views based on the way he's using childless cat lady. Now, like I said, previous to this, I've only heard it used for single women, to try to shame them for being single and childless, as if that's a woman's only goal in life is to get married and pop out kids. So, let's pretend that he didn't misunderstand the term. He's using the term the way I understand it. I mean, it's entirely possible I'm misunderstanding the term myself, but let's say he is understanding the term the way I am. So, what does that do? Let Now, first off, childless. At the time, both Pete and AOC were childless. AOC is still, as of this recording, childless. I know, like I said, I know she's engaged. I don't know when the wedding is. But Kamala was not. So, with childless, we know that he does not consider women who raise stepchildren or adopt. He does not see those women as real mothers. He only sees mothers being real if they give birth, which is offensive to stepmothers who for whatever reason, haven't had their own children. Ignoring the women who choose not to have their own children for whatever reason, whether they're antinatalist or whether they're worried about genetics, or they have some sort of a medical condition that they worry it's going to end in either a stillbirth or a miscarriage. And who the hell wants to voluntarily, knowingly go through that? I mean, I can't imagine what it must be like for women who go through that. Why would you, if you knew that this is the end game, why would you go through that? I mean, there is literally no point. In the off chance things work out, I mean, it's better to, if you want to have a family, to adopt. Or surrogacy works. if you can arrange that, surrogacy works. But, we have plenty of kids who are needing adoption, so that's also a good method. But then there are the women who are infertile. Either the woman is infertile or the man is infertile, their significant other. Because let's face it doesn't have to be a spouse. Well, seriously, are you suggesting that they can't be true mothers if they were to adopt? Or say there's a tragedy and they're raising children of either their godchildren or just family members' children who, whether they had previously made that arrangement or this is the best that can be done, whatever the case may be. How can you tell those women and tell those children that, oh, that's not really your mother? I mean, is she their birth mother? No. But neither the woman nor the children are so dumb that they can't figure that one out. Unless for whatever reason the parents don't mention adoption at any point, then the kids might think that they're biologically their parents. But most parents at some point do tell their kids that they were adopted. Obviously the circumstances is always going to be different, but they generally do tell their kids at some point. And then then the kids decide whether they want to seek out birth parents if they know that those birth parents are alive, or at least don't know for certain that they're dead. But that's something else entirely. There are people out there who want to know who their birth parents are, why they were given up, etc., etc. But to tell those women who go through everything else except for childbirth that any other mother would go through, raising their kids, going through the highs and lows, having to make arrangements when the kids are sick, um, getting them ready for school, getting them ready to send them off to college, whatever. Whatever milestone the kids and has, going to swim meets, going to any other extracurricular activities. How can you say that those women are not mothers just because they didn't give birth to them? That's just stupid. Just because you're not a biological parent doesn't mean you aren't a parent. So, obviously, this hatred of women who are childless, or even people who are childless, because again, he did put Pete Buttigieg in this denouncing of Democrats in power. So, yeah, I don't know why people feel the need to make the fact that make biological children. Okay, for some people that's important, that's fine, but that isn't for everybody, or it can't be for everybody, because again, there is infertility. Now we have gay couples, so obviously at best you can just do one biological parent, but you can't do both. So yeah, there's a lot of great reasons why biological children just can't be a thing. Whether it be because it's by choice or it's by necessity, it shouldn't make you lesser than as a parent just because this child isn't related to you by blood. That is just a stupid, outdated notion. So, let's then get to, obviously, Kat. Well, the stereotype is that single women, especially when they're up in years, have like cats everywhere, like hundreds of cats. We all know that's stupid. I mean, okay, so what if they have cats instead of kids? Okay, big deal. So, people who do that, not a fan of cats. Even though J.D. Vance did go on Megyn Kelly's show, and I'm sure this was meant to be a joke. I'm sure it might have been intended to be a joke, but given his doubling down on the childless cat ladies thing, I'm going to say it's not. Because he said that I'm not going to take that back. I have nothing against cats. Which is just screaming. It's not the cat part that you have a problem with. It's the women who don't choose to give birth. Now, I don't know Kamala's medical history, nor do I care, because in this regard, it's none of anybody's business. I mean, even if she were to become president and her physical has to become disclosed, nobody has to know that she's infertile. That has absolutely nothing to do with her job. Being infertile does not impinge on your job. So, but then lady. He said specifically lady. So, I'm sorry, you mentioned Pete Buttigieg and then you said childless cat lady. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but Pete Buttigieg is not a lady. He's very much a man. And so that tells me that he doesn't see gay men as men. He sees gay men as women because I guess because only women like men or something. Lesbians must confuse him. So, yeah, that should be obvious. Now, as I said, this is generally something said to single women because, well, obviously, if you were to get married, you have to procreate because that's the way things work. It doesn't actually, because not everyone who gets married for the sole purpose of procreation. They get married for companionship, for love. They don't get married just because they want to bone their spouse and get pregnant. That's not the way it works. Asexual couples exist. Now, some might grin and bear the sex just to have kids, because there are asexual couples who want biological kids, or they might adopt. Depends on how they feel about sex. So, let's get to this usually is something that's said to single women. Now we've already discussed that AOC, well, technically fits the bill because she is single, and what definitely was at the time. I know she had a boyfriend at the time, but Pete Buttigieg, married. Now, having a Republican not recognize the fact that even though same-sex marriage is legal in the U.S., having a Republican refuse to acknowledge that Pete and Chasten are married is not unusual. I keep thinking about, even there are Democrats who that's a bridge too far for them. I still remember in the Iowa caucuses during the 2020 presidential primary, a woman happily voted for Pete until she found out he was married to a man. Now, I don't know if she didn't know that he was gay at all, or if she knew he was gay and that was fine as long as he didn't act gay. So I'm not sure which one it was, but either way, she wanted to rescind her vote simply for the fact that he is married to a man. He's a gay man. She just couldn't handle it. And this was a Democrat. So yeah, there are people out there who refuse to acknowledge same-sex marriage because they are so dead set on marriages between a man and a woman. So, which all I can say is then don't marry someone of the same sex and everything's fine. So that wouldn't surprise me at all that he doesn't recognize Pete's marriage. Doesn't surprise me at all. What is more insidious, and this has been creeping up in Republican circles, is the fact that I don't know if he recognizes Kamala's marriage. Because, for those who don't know, she is married to a white man, Doug Emhoff. So, I'm not sure if that... Now, it's possible I'm reading way too much into this, and that he didn't mean that at all. That was just a superficial, let's laugh at the woman who did not give birth. That's always a possibility. But it could also be that he has a problem with the fact that it's an interracial marriage. Now, obviously, that's very Hippocratic because he's married to the daughter of Indian immigrants. So she's Indian, East Indian, that is. And so you would think that that wouldn't be on his mind, but the Republican Party, at least today's Republican Party, has not been known for their clear thinking. They're simply willing to be hypocritical when they want something done, when they want to make a point and they want something to go their way. They don't care if it's logical or if they're doing what they are going to force on other people. Yeah. So, yeah, that is my conclusion until I see some further evidence that, I mean, like I said, it's entirely possible that he truly meant it as a slight to Kamala and Pete and AOC for the fact that they do not have biological children. And Pete does have, at the time they were trying to adopt, and from what I've heard, that they hit a snafu at the time that J.D. Vance made this statement. So yeah, Pete and Chaston now have twins, a boy and a girl, fraternal twins, that they adopted. And I don't know how this process worked, if it was one of those where the adoption agencies give women a list of profiles and they pick which couple they want to raise the baby they're about to have, or if it was done in a different fashion, if this was someone that the couple was friends with, or how this worked. But anyway, regardless, obviously, if he's not going to recognize their marriage, he's not going to recognize that those children are Pete and Chaston's children, because they are fully adopted by both of them. But now it could also have something to do with the fact that Doug Emhoff is Jewish, but that one is a bit more dicey. I wouldn't want to go down that road exactly, because I honestly don't think his being Jewish had anything to do with it. But I can believe that he has a problem with a black woman marrying a white man. Now, whether he truly believes that, or if this is just him trying to ingratiate himself in the Republican base, that is iffy. Because again, he is married to an Indian woman. He is, from what I've seen, when he was in high school, he was actually friends with trans people. He and his wife, up till Trumpisms happened, had a trans woman as a neighbor, and he would bake cookies, and they would help the trans woman out. So I'm leaning towards he doesn't believe this bullshit. He's just doing this to say what he thinks people want to hear. He says what he thinks his base wants to hear, and what his benefactor, Peter Thiel, wants him to say, which is ironic because Peter Thiel is gay. So the fact that he would be okay with bashing Pete for not just not having biological children, but calling him a lady. So again, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it wouldn't surprise me either. That because there are plenty of homophobes out there who do consider gay men to be nothing more than women. And they say that with disdain because they hate women. So it's not just that they hate gay men, they hate women. And so yeah. Let me see if there was anything else I wanted to mention about that phrase. I think I parsed it to death. Yeah, I think I parsed that whole episode to death. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.